Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is James Pleasant II, who will fight on APFC 21, November 23rd. Hello, James. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm good. And actually, in the next few days, you will fight in a really interesting bout because you will face Emmanuel Sanchez, who is like long-time veteran. Of course, this fight also will be a title fight in APFC. So if you can tell me, how excited are you that you will have a chance to share a cage with such an experienced fighter?
I'm really excited, and not only an experienced fighter, but such a huge promotion for APFC. I know Anthony Pettis is doing really good by the fighters, really putting them on big platforms, promotions, and the fact that it's also going to be in the Southwest, which is the region I live in. Better opportunity for the local fans to either go out and support, and this is just a really good opportunity. I really think God, all the family, the friends. All the people in the fight game and everybody's who just made this possible.
And do you think of course, he can be like a challenge in many aspects, but do you think that maybe in one area especially he can be like a super big threat for you?
Of course, when they're a veteran, there's a lot of videos that you could look and see. I do think that with him, he's got great cardio. He's definitely a pressure fighter, and he likes to come forward, and he has lots of volume. So those are definitely the strengths that I've seen that we prepared for, and that we got to look out for the fight.
And
And
probably
also that fighter experience too. Apologies for cutting you off, but definitely being a veteran, he's a dog. He's been in many situations and fought through those. So definitely things to look out for.
And actually, I think that sometimes the veterans are much more like bigger challenge than like undefeated prospects because he know this kind of tricks. He can know when to take opponent on the ground, when to punch, and he can be also really smart in the cage. So because he has over 30 bouts and it's like super high level too, I think that it will be a really good fight. But of course, the win will give you some really big momentum.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of big momentum. He just won the belt at 170 for APFC. So I know he's going for his double championship, but we got to put it into that, unfortunately. We got to bring the belt home to El Paso to the 915 area.
And of course, this fight will be a lightweight fight, but he fought also in a featherweight in Bellator. Then he was a welterweight champion in APFC. But I think that you will be much bigger, like much taller and more rangy fighter in this fight.
That's correct. I'm about 6'3" and a half. I always got to put that half in there. Every inch counts, right? But I do feel that I'll be more likely the bigger opponent. So definitely keeping it at range, but always prepared to come inside too and fight in the pocket.
And did you ever fought against a fighter who's like tall and big like you?
I have actually, surprisingly enough, they find them.
So probably.
I've always been the taller opponent, but I've definitely fought people that are around the 6'1", 6'2" range.
So probably when you fought this one time, it was a kind of weird feeling because it's like probably really tough to find someone like you.
Are you saying it's a weird feeling for him or a weird feeling for me?
No, I think actually both of you, but probably it's like rare thing to fight against this like kind of opponent with his build, and because probably like all of your opponents who in the end will be a little bit like shorter.
Correct. Yes, especially in the region I live, there's a lot of short guys here.
And about your weight, did you ever have any problems with making a lightweight weight limit?
No, actually, I've never had any issues cutting weight. I've always been the weight I'm supposed to. I come from a wrestling background. I wrestled in youth and in high school, and that's just part of the game. That's part of being a professional. If you're not going to make weight, you're basically not giving it your all.
And actually, sometimes fighters say that the weight cut is the toughest part of MMA. So if you can eliminate this one, it's probably really a good feeling just to think about your opponent, nothing else.
Exactly. You got to focus on the opponent. The hardest part is showing up, right? And then once you show up, that's what I think it is. There's a lot of times where people say, "How do you stay focused? How do you do this?" And everybody wants to be great, but not everybody wants to put in the work, right? And so I always like to say the hardest part is showing up. If you don't want to do the weight cut, then you probably shouldn't be a fighter.
And before this fight, you defeated undefeated fighter who was, I believe, 3-0 at that point. Right now, you will fight against veteran. So, do you overall like prefer to fight against fighter who can be a little bit more unknown, or the fighter that you know that you can like find a lot of data, watch a lot of videos of your opponent?
That's a good question. I guess I really haven't thought of it that much before. I guess logically speaking, the opponent with more data is probably the better opponent to face because you have more view of what their tendencies are, what their habits are, how they've won in previously, how they've lost previously, what their tendencies are, and you could build a better strategy and game plan to it. Ideally, I like to think of the opponent, no matter who they are, whether they have one or two fights or if they have 100 fights. You always want to look at them as if you're fighting someone like, let's say, John Jones or something like this. Every opponent needs to be taken seriously, regardless of who they are, where they came from, and you gotta know what your tool set is and what's gonna basically negate whatever strengths they have.
And when I watched your fights and also like dig a little bit deeper in your career, I saw that you had your first amateur bout in 2014. And at that point, how many like years or months did you have for like overall MMA training?
Overall MMA training. At that point, it was probably, I would say, less than a year. I had just turned 19, I believe it was. I was a little bit over 19. I was, like I mentioned earlier, I was a wrestler in high school, and I decided not to go to the college wrestling route, but I still had that itch. I still wanted to compete. And so there were some guys that I had met while I was in high school that did MMA training. And of course, I went over there just to kind of check it out, and we kept in touch. And I would kind of offer my skill set of the wrestling background. Plus, when I started karate when I was like 6, so I would offer what I could. But if I would say like formalized actual MMA training, it was definitely after I graduated, had my first fight when I was 19, and fell in love with the sport and just got really involved locally in the community and how I could do more and learn more.
So actually, you are also a kind of veteran because it's like 11 years. So it's actually really a long time. And of course, you had also many like amateur bouts. So you are not just a like 6-1 guy.
Right. I definitely like to see it as in like, um, you know, quality over quantity. This is not a disrespect to anybody who has lots of fights or anything, but um, I definitely want to make sure that the right fight is chosen at the right time with the right promotion, and we also want to make sure that everything just makes sense. I know some people will take a fight regardless who it is or regardless the circumstance, and then maybe putting themselves in a bad situation, both mentally, physically, or even in their career wise. But this is something that I want to take serious and something that I want to do for the long run. I want to be one of those fighters where it's like, who is it? Dan Henderson, where he retires at like 40. So I want to have a long career. I want to be here for a long time, not a short time.
And if you can tell me more about the team that you are like part of, and if you can share maybe some names of your sparring and training partners.
Cool. Yeah. So our gym is called the Yokai. And so the Yokai is a Japanese term for the supernatural spirits, apparitions, things of that nature. And so we like to think of ourselves in that nature and the what's the word I want to call the characteristics that we bring upon ourselves. And so we have our coach. His name's Ari Gamboa. He's a guy that I've known since I was 15. I like I said earlier, I met these guys while I was still in high school, and we hit it off. And they were saying like, "Oh, you'd make a great fighter," and I was focused on my wrestling in my school at the time. And once that ended, I kind of reconnected with all of them and started to go back and uh, just really refine my skills. We also have Jack Nickel. He's a fighter. He's an amateur fighter with 3 fights. He won the belt recently in our region. There's also another fighter that we have on our team. His name is Emilio Hernandez. He just recently won a belt a few weeks ago, or actually just a weekend ago, for a promotion out in Massachusetts. Please forgive me, I don't remember the name of the promotion, but I will say that this guy is a dog. He's also from Las Cruces, which is the sister city of El Paso. He went to Colorado and was the number one 155er and 170 pounder, and then came back down to our region. And then those are kind of the active fighters, but we have a bunch of up and coming fighters that we're just waiting for the right opportunity for them to show their skills. And it's actually really cool because we train at a private facility. I like to tell people we train underground. It's the hangar. Basically, Manny Rodriguez he's the homeowner where he used to have an airplane in his backyard, and he got rid of the airplane and decided to make it a gym for his kids. And so when I came over there in high school, all the people that I'm training with now are all the people in the local community. We were basically coaching these kids, and now these kids grew up and they're in their early 20s and they're ready to fight, and they help me train and all this good stuff. And so it's a really good feeling to know that we've helped each other grow for such a long time, and we want to pass down the torch and continue for that to grow.
So actually, I think that there can be a chance that you will be like you are one of the main faces of the gym, and maybe you will be the first fighter in the UFC from the gym.
That's the plan. I want to be a trailblazer for these guys. I want to pave the way. I know in El Paso, Texas, not many people know where that even is. And it's really cheesy, but I always tell people if Texas is a gun, we're right here on the thumb. We're far west, and people don't realize how big Texas is. They'll say, "Oh, I'm in Houston, I'm in Dallas, I'm in San Antonio, come visit me." And I have to explain to them, I live 10 to 12 hours away from all the popular cities in Texas. It is quicker for me to drive to California than it is for me to drive to the other end of Texas. Texas is bigger than most countries. And so we're kind of El Paso, we're like the ugly stepsister, right? We're the forgotten ones. And it breaks my heart a little bit to see people leave and kind of say like, well, there's no opportunities here. We're going to create the opportunities here. We're going to make sure that everyone could shine. And we're going to make sure that all this talent could stay here instead of being outsourced to other locations.
And actually, the first step will happen in just few days. And if you can tell me, do you consider the Emmanuel that he can be maybe not the stepping stone, but actually like first big step for you to get a chance to get to the UFC maybe even next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody could deny he has accolades. He definitely has experience, and he's definitely someone that he's a big name. And so I'm very grateful for this opportunity. He's a very respectable opponent. And of course, the goal is always to win, right? So winning this next fight against him would basically just kind of show the caliber of what we have to offer, the myself and our team. And I would hope that people could see that and basically do everything they can to support us to make it to the UFC, because that's always the end game, right? UFC is the end game. And then after that, the end game is to be a champion, the best in the world.
And actually, with this win, you can be even called like double champion because he was a welterweight champion too.
I would love if people said that. I said that the other day. I said, so if or when I win, does that mean I'm technically the champion of both? And they said, no, shut up. You can't say that. And it's like, all right, well, whatever, whatever.
Okay, James. So many thanks for the time and for conversation. I think that it will be like a super interesting fight, and I think that he definitely can present many challenges. But I think that also with a win and also with your winning streak, I think that doors will be open for you next year to get your big shot.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the time you take all the way from Poland. I don't know what time it is over there, but we appreciate you bringing this together and putting some, I guess, some insight behind the fighter.